Imagine living in a world-renowned house that needed some repairs to the roof. But rather than make said repairs, you opted to build a much smaller, inferior home in a much worse location for more money than it would cost to fix and maintain your existing home. Well, you'd kind of be an idiot. But that is exactly what the disgraced premier of this province, Doug Ford, is doing to the Ontario Science Centre, which is, or rather was, just to the south of here. And hey there, today is Wednesday, January 15th. I got a notification covering up the time. There we go. It is 3:53 p.m. and the temperature is minus 4 degrees Celsius. And with the wind chill, apparently, it is more like minus 11. And this here is Eglinton Avenue East, and that's a look to the west towards Midtown. And just in front of me is the intersection of Don Mills and Eglinton. And I had to take a 34 bus here from Eglinton Station, as the Science Centre station, at least that's what it was called, apparently it will no longer go by that name, which was supposed to open back in 2020, is not yet open, as the province has completely bungled building of Line 5, the Crosstown LRT. That was supposed to open in 2020. And Line 6, the Finch LRT, was supposed to open in 2021. And both of those still have no opening in sight. This is also supposed to be where the northern terminus of the Ontario line is. Metrolinx, the provincial agency building both of these lines, has removed the Science Centre branding from their marketing materials, or the Science Centre station branding. But for this one, we're going to be going for a walk past the former Science Centre, where I learned recently that apparently the big sign on the roof has been taken down. And then we'll go for a stroll through the Flemingdon Park neighbourhood. So I'm currently walking south down Don Mills Road in Flemingdon Park, which is sandwiched between the west branch of the Don River, which is in a valley just over to my right, and the East Branch, which is just on the other side of that cluster of office buildings off in the distance. And it's south of Eglinton. It's a mostly residential neighborhood, although there are some office towers on the north end. But the Science Centre opened up to much fanfare in 1969. It was a gift from the federal government to celebrate the country's centennial. And it was one of the first facilities of its kind in the world, and renowned for being one of the better ones. But long story short, in June of last year, without any warning at all, the Ford government shuttered its doors, citing that the roof was deemed unsafe and would require about $478 million to repair it. That led to a lot of questions, of course. At the heart of the matter is really the parcel of land it sits on. As you can see, there's lots of development going up around here. And the Ford government kind of screwed over a lot of developers with its Greenbelt scandal. It's often speculated that this is a bit of a payback to some of those friends of the premier. We'll have to pay close attention to see whose hands this land ends up in. But the architectural firm that was behind the Science Center offered to repair the building for free after the government announced its closure, and several other firms and individuals stepped up to contribute to the cost of repairs as well. But the province didn't respond to any of that. Instead, they announced a new Science Center would open up at Ontario Place, one that is much smaller and would be without many of the exhibits. There would be no planetarium or IMAX. That's also a much worse location due to the intense congestion required just to access Ontario Place. Whereas this location has easy highway access. You can jump on the DVP close to here, and that connects to the 401, which is just north of here. Meaning it's kind of ideal for a lot of school trips. If you say go to a school in Vaughan, you could get here in maybe a 20-30 minute bus ride, whereas going down to Ontario Place could take you an hour and a half to 2 hours based on traffic. That also means it's more accessible to people outside of the GTA. As we look over at Flemingdon Park, an area we'll be walking through in a few moments. But a report came out saying the new Science Center would cost about $1.4 billion to get up and running, which far exceeds the cost of just repairing and maintaining this building. And there you can see it right there. They have removed the signage where it used to say Ontario Science Center. That was kind of an iconic sign of being in the area. There's also a number of architects and engineers on record saying these repairs were minor and the structure was in no danger of collapsing due to snowfall. That's the message the Ontario government was giving. There's also dozens of other buildings in the province of similar construction, of a similar age, that have similar concerns, but they aren't being shuttered. This is very clearly a land grab. It's such a big, beautiful facility. This part of it here only scratches the surface. You can go to Google Maps and check out the satellite view just to see how big and sprawling it is. It also kind of puts this neighborhood on the map. Science Center laid off a number of its employees, and they opened up some temporary exhibits that are quite small and sad in comparison to the real thing. There's one at Sherway Mall. But this is the same government that's spending $300 million to build an underground parking garage with taxpayer money to service a private spa down at Ontario Place. I've had some requests from viewers to do an update as to what's going on at the property. There's clearly some work being done here. Definitely a sad, sad sight. And the sidewalk is closed straight ahead. I can't even head over there if I wanted to get a close look. They're busy tearing this thing down, it looks like. They're taking the sign right down. There's a guy looking at me. This is going to be gone pretty soon. What an absolute shame. And waste of taxpayer money. As we wait for the light to change, then we can loop through Flemingdon Park. We're going to be going along St. Denis Drive, and that'll loop us back to the Flemingdon Park Shopping Center. Of course, that 1.4 billion is just an estimate. As we all know, construction costs only go up in time, and construction projects only get more delayed. So the total cost to taxpayers is definitely going to be significantly more than just maintaining the existing, much better suited for the purpose facility than the new one they plan to build. And now through the residential part of the neighborhood, which features a lot of mid and high-rise apartment buildings. Much like the neighboring Thorncliffe Park neighborhood, this is a very diverse neighborhood, one of the most diverse in the city. I think over 50% of the households here don't speak English as their primary language. The name comes from Robert John Fleming, who was a former mayor of Toronto in the 1800s. And this was all farmland that belonged to him. I'm not really a fan of these towers and the park-style developments. They kind of lead to a very isolated and cut off from the rest of the city feel to it. But most of this was developed in the late 50s and early 60s during a period of significant urban growth, along with the neighboring Flemingdon Park. It was intended to be a mixed-use neighborhood. And it changed character after waves of immigration in the 70s and 80s. Brought a lot of newcomers to the area. Although despite its strengths, apparently it has higher than average poverty rates and aging infrastructure and limited local economic opportunities. But there is the crosstown coming in, so they'll have rapid transit access at some point, along with the Ontario line, although that one won't open for 10 or 15 years. think Intel Canada is located in one of these office towers straight ahead. There's a basketball court and playground in that housing unit. Rather development. These railings could use some paint. It's odd that everyone has dishes. Why? Bell Express View? It's a very odd sight. Especially with the advent of fiber internet and IPTV. There's a new tower going up. This apartment building is getting extensively renovated, it looks like. I'm sure the tenants will be met with a nice above-board rent increase once all is said and done. As you can see, we're having some light snow flurries. All right, so we'll make a right at this next street here. There's a public library. It's got a peaceful vibe to it. Children's Services, Flemingdon Early Learning and Childcare Center. This street is Deauville Lane. One of the big problems with this kind of neighborhood design is the lack of convenient retail. I'm sure some of these apartment buildings have tuck shops and that sort of thing. You've got this mass of people living in relatively tight quarters. You don't have much in the way of retail destinations at their front door. That bus is going all the way to Broadview Station. And And we are in the former borough of East York. There's a development notice sign in front of that building. Probably want to squeeze some new condos in there. There's some very large sports fields just south of here, but not a whole lot else to look at, so we're going to make a right onto this street. Hey, they've got bike share. This is leading us back towards Don Mills, but we'll be walking past their local shopping center. Which I think is about 60 years old. There's Flemingdon Park itself, just on the south side of the street. New condo, DBS developments. There's a public school. And Grenoble Public School. Looks more like a really old hospital. Apparently that's a French immersion school. It's the Flemingdon Park Pentecostal Church. Across from more towers in the park. People often criticize City Place for its design, but I think it is much better executed than these neighborhoods. There's more of a focus on community. This is Gateway Boulevard, which goes in a big loop. New showdown menu. I'm going to pop into this McDonald's and use the facility. I'll resume recording in a moment. There's a deli. I guess that's the big grocery store here. Sunny Food Mart. Vape store, kebab house. It also seems odd in a high-density neighborhood to build such a auto-independent shopping center. I see people walking through here. It's kind of like an open-air shopping mall. More stores. There's the Timmy's. And the Shoppers Drug Mart. There's those sports fields I mentioned. Let's pretend I'm a local and know my way around here. So this is Don Mills Road, and the other side is Science Center property. as we go south down Don Mills Road. Overlea Boulevard is coming up. I'll make a right there and then we'll finish this. I'm thinking of starting a live stream from there.
No, that's Timo.
Timo.
That's got to be a construction worker who parked there. There are towers in the park on the left. Uber Eats delivery vehicle. There's a high school. I guess people from Flemingdon Park and Glencliff Park feed into that school. Overlea Boulevard on the right, Gateway Boulevard on the left. All right, that's the secondary school over there. This one is the Valley Park Middle School. Yeah, when I get to this overpass, we'll be leaving Flemingdon Park and entering Glencliff Park, so that'll be where I think I'll wrap this one up. This is a valley with the west branch of the Don River running through it. .29 and minus 3 degrees Celsius. West Don River. This overpass was built in 1960. Guy's gonna be cold not wearing gloves. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Do let me know your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support what I do on YouTube, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Yoink.